Today is Saturday, April 23rd, 2015, and this is the Bunny Slippers Evil Job Seekers Call-In Show presented by Evil Bunny Consultants. I'm your host, Tyrone Griffin, and if it's 3 p.m. you have on your Bunny Slippers, you are not looking for a job. Welcome, first-time and returning listeners. In this show, we discuss strategies and tactics of job search, staying motivated and dealing with career transition. For more tips, resources, daily motivation, and to listen to archive shows, go to the website, bunnyslippersofevil.com. There you also find links to our Facebook page, our Twitter handle, and our YouTube channel. If you are listening live, you can call in with your questions at 347-202-0929. Again, that number is 347-202-0929. Now a word from our sponsors. Evil Bunny Consulting is the job search alternative to expensive outplacement. They give company-sponsored job search workshops as well as a one-on-one job search bootcamp. For more information, go to bunnyslippersofevil.com. Resume Edit is a high-quality resume writing company of certified resume writers, starting at just $35. You can find them online at resume4edit.com or call 404-860-2473. Sure to tell them you heard about them on the Bunny Slippers of Evil Job Seekers podcast. Let 3dresumes.net turn your resume into a web page with a customized domain for 12 months for only $30. Help hiring managers and recruiters find you. Make your resume available 24/7 and get a professional email address just for your job search. You can see my online resume at tyronegriffin.com. And for more information on how to get your own, go to 3dresumes.net. If you're thinking or about to look for a job in today's world, you'll find a new reality in the job search process. The world has changed. Job search today is much more complicated than 5 years ago. Volumes of resumes, more applicant screening systems, depersonalized applications, panel interviews, team hiring, long complicated applications, branding, and social media. Yes, the world has changed. What have you? Are you still trying yesterday's approach? Why struggle and miss out on today's opportunities? Career Oyster is here to help. Great coaches, the latest resources, unique strategies, personally tailored to your job search. Find out the new reality and how you can prevent costly mistakes. To register for a free 45-minute private session with head coach Howard Caddy, go to careeroyster.com. Find out the facts now. You'll be glad you did. Remember their motto, the world is your oyster. Be the pearl. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another good week. I hope you had a good week. I hope it was very productive for you. Before we get started, I would be remiss, even though this is a job search podcast for people in transition. This week, the entertainer, formerly and always to be known as Prince, passed away. Before you say anything, no, I was not a super Prince fan. I liked him. I thought Purple Rain was a great movie. But I wasn't that super fan, so I'm not going to sit here and cry and everything. I mean, I'm sorry he's passed. But I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the impact that his life, his music, had on millions of people the world over. Never met him. Again, I love Purple Rain, but he was kind of like I guess you want to call it, he was like Grace Jones, where he would make a song, and I'd hear one thing, and then like my female friends would really listen to the lyrics and say, nah, the song wasn't about that, it was about this. I'll be like, what? But I am saddened by his passing. I'm saddened by anybody's passing, especially somebody who has a great and positive impact on people. So he will be missed. So this is just to say I want to acknowledge his passing and thank him, as well as so many other great entertainers for their contribution to our society. There was a time back in my high school days where I kind of I thought I looked like Prince because I had a big old afro. But, that was a long time ago. But anyway, I just want to acknowledge that for everybody who were fans of his music. The other thing, I usually don't do my show about being thankful until Thanksgiving week, for all of you who've been listening for a while. But this week, things happened. Nothing major. No great tragedies in my personal life or anything. But I just, I thought about the whole idea of being thankful. And, I may come on this show and I may seem, cavalier, and I joke a lot and, all those good things. But I don't want anybody to ever think for one moment I am truly thankful for the opportunities I've had, for the life I've had. It's not been as I always planned and expected and hoped it would be, but it has been wonderful, and I could not. I would be crazy to complain about anything. I know people personally who complain about things that I don't understand. I don't understand how they can complain when there's things where so many people are going so well. I think it was partially going to the speech I gave a couple of weeks ago at the Roswell United Methodist Church that it kind of had me thinking about it when I was standing in front of those couple of 200 or 300 people who were all looking for a job. It just kind of it kind of hit me that I've been blessed. And it's funny, this morning, and I'm sorry for rambling, but this morning I was coming from the gym, and I was at a stoplight, and there was a woman in a car next to me, and it was an older car, and it was making some funny noises. Apparently she knew what the noises were. She wasn't worried about it, but she was in her car, and windows were rolled up, and she was rocking out to something. She was jamming, and I've had over the last year or so, I've had some, ever since I had my car accident, I've had some automobile challenges. I'll say that. Thankfully, I've always been able to get where I needed to go, but it's been hairy, and it just, for some reason, when I was watching her, it just hit me that I got to be thankful. I have to truly be thankful for everything that I do have. And, looking at her, it's like, she ain't got a care in the world. Her car's running, and that's enough for her. And I have to be that way. I have to feel that way. That it's, that I just have to make sure that I am always thankful for everything that I have. So I just wanted to take a minute before we get into the show, because this show is going to be probably a little heavier than we usually do. It's where the theme this month is job search disasters. So this week is probably going to be a lot of a lot more less funny, I guess, is what I'm saying it's going to be. The video this week, by the way, is going to be a little different. Shame to admit it, I can't find my iPad, so it's just going to be different because of that. I'm using my computer, and it's the quality. It's just a little different. So I apologize for that. But anyway, so on with the show. Enough of the sad stuff. Let's talk about the show. This week, the topic is, the theme for this month is still job search disasters. And the topic today is long-term unemployment. Those things that, when you've been unemployed a long time, can come back to haunt you. They can come back and make it not be a good, they can be a disaster. So today's topic, again, are long-term unemployment. So let's talk about that. How can long-term unemployment be disastrous? Well, other than the obvious, other than the fact that it's you don't have a job. But the things that you can't control, and I use that term loosely, the things that you can't control is how you feel. There's the mental aspect of it. One of the things that happens with long-term unemployed is that they get, I broke it down into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different things that can happen. So let me start maybe with the least crazy. First, if you've been unemployed for a long time, one of the things it does is it hits your self-confidence takes a beating, because I mean, we've all been there. You start to feel like, I am never going to get another job. You literally start to feel that way, that I'm just never, nobody's ever going to hire me for anything ever again in life. It's hard not to feel that way. Really hard not to feel that way. But that can be disastrous for you, because what can happen, and I'll tell you from experience, you can have something like that happen on one job, and it can feed over. So when you land your next opportunity, you're still thinking about, I don't have, my self-confidence is shot. Say maybe, and I'll give you my personal history. My personal story was that I had 2 degrees, neither was a PhD, but I had a bachelor's and a master's degree in accounting and finance. And I had been out of work for a year. And I don't care how you put it, that messed with me. It messed with my self-confidence. It messed with my feeling of self, who I was and what I was capable of doing. It just messed with all that. Because I just felt like, I felt like a waste. I felt like all these years that I've worked, and I had worked at that point, 20 years in corporate America. And all of a sudden, I couldn't get a job. I couldn't hold a job. I couldn't get interviews. It wasn't so much that I didn't have, it was partly that I didn't have a job, but it was the idea that I can't even get somebody to call me back. I can't get an interview. I couldn't, after everything that I'd been through, and with what I thought were sparkling credentials, I couldn't get somebody to interview me. That messed me up. I'll be totally honest. That really messed me up. Your self-confidence will take a hit. There's no other way around, sugarcoating it. Your self-confidence will take a hit. If you've been out a year, I remember seeing a 60 Minutes show, and they were talking about the 99ers, or there were, in Silicon Valley or somewhere in California, there was this situation where we had a lot of people with PhDs, just happened to have PhDs, and were unemployed. They couldn't get jobs. And they had been out, their 99 weeks they had spent on unemployment. They could not get jobs. That was messing with them. When I was out, I tried to keep my head up. It's when I started speaking at different events. But, that Smokey Robinson song, Tears of a Clown, I mean, it was one of those things where the only way I could deal with it was to not think about it. Was to get up every day and just not think about it. Because when I thought about it, when I sat down and there were those quiet times you're sitting there, you're with your family, and it hits you that I don't have a job. That man thing kicks in, I can't support my family, your self-confidence will take a hit, and that will cause a whole lot of other issues, because once your self-confidence goes, it's like a pitcher, the major league pitcher. You're out there every day, you're throwing strikes and everything else, and then one day maybe you hit somebody with a ball, or maybe one day, some team knocks like 9 home runs off you or something, and it just rocks you. It rocks you. That's the only thing I can say. It just really rocks you. That's what it's like. Thinking about it, it rocks you. If you're in that situation, you're not alone. You're not the only one sitting here feeling like, why can I get a job? There are many, many people out there in the same situation as you are. But don't let it, and this sounds, it's easier said than done, but you have to not let it stick with you. You have to not let it burn you up. Because it will. And it will cause you problems in the future. Like I was giving the example of a pitcher who loses self-confidence. All of a sudden, he can't throw a strike. Tiger Woods, and I'm not a golf fan, but I've talked to some people about, Tiger Woods is going through it. He's been going through 3 or 4 or 5 years now, from being the greatest golfer in the history of the world to, not the greatest golfer in the history of the world. That messes with your confidence. And all of a sudden, these strokes that he was able to do in his sleep, he can't do them anymore. And he doesn't know why, but he can't do them. He can't hit those balls like he used to. When he hits it, instead of being able to, knock it across and drop it on a dime, he can't do that anymore. And that affects you. You go through the same thing. I mean, granted, you're not Tiger Woods, but you go through the same thing. Pitchers, again, same thing. All of a sudden, some team knocks 9 or 10 home runs off you in 1 inning. You don't want to let that ball go. You go to pitch, you're like, I don't want to throw it because they're going to knock it out of the state again. You lose yourself confidence. How do you not let it take a hit? For me, it took a while. It took a while even after I was, I got my next opportunity. My self-confidence, the fear, and we'll talk about fear too, but you're just scared. But losing self-confidence can be a job search disaster, because if you are not confident in your skills, the next time you interview, they'll know it. It oozes. It's guys, people. You see somebody you're interested in, and you walk across the room to say hi to them. If you say it without confidence, if you have no confidence in yourself, they're going to know it. And probably everybody around them is going to know it. But if sometimes the confidence is just something you got to fake. And that's the way you got to fake it. You just got to, you got to fake it. You just, you got to fake it till you make it. But mentally, you have to think about, the great good times in your past. Yeah, this is a bad time right now. But chances are, through your career, even if you're early into job search, into the work world, in college maybe then, or high school, whatever, you had successes, and you are still a good person. You are still the same smart person you always were. The only difference is that you just need to find somebody to believe in you. But before you can find somebody to believe in you, you got to believe in yourself. That's just rule number 1. You have to believe that you are capable of doing these things, that you're still capable of doing things. Okay, I'm rambling on self-confidence. I got about a couple of more. But suffice to say, you just remember the good times. Remember the successes you had, and those will get you through the non-successes. I won't call them failures. Fear. Yeah, you're feeling fear. Fear goes along with that self-confidence. These are things that fear is what was that, some science fiction movie? It said fear is the mind killer. I think that was Dune. Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, and hate leads to pain. Yoda says something like that. Fear will take over. And if you behave from a perspective of fear, if you act from a perspective of fear, then you will act very irrationally. Think about in relationships. How many people were fearful of losing their partner in that relationship, and they did something because they were afraid. They maybe followed the person, or they maybe jumped to some conclusions, or something they did because they were fearful of losing that person. That's and it, that's when it gets ugly, when you have that fear. But that can be a disaster for job search, because again, just like self-confidence, you walk into an interview and you're not confident in your abilities. If you are fearful, it oozes out of you, and the person interviewing you most likely will see it. And worse, if you don't get that job, it will, in your mind, it will make you think, yeah, my fear was right. My lack of self-confidence was right. That is what I should have been feeling. Okay, you'll be mad. You're probably mad. Yeah, when I was out of work, I was mad, and a couple of reasons. We all get mad because we think about the people that are still working. Those idiots back at the office. Why did I get let go? That guy's an idiot, or she's a fool. But there's that anger, because anger makes you feel good. You think about. I never get into it, but think about racism, all kinds of discrimination. Discrimination is really about anger, in my opinion. It's about people being mad that they have not done things that they feel they should have done, and they're looking for a scapegoat to say, well, I didn't do this. It's not that I wasn't able to do it. It's because that person or that group. I want to go in the bathroom and pee where I want, but I can't because of that group, I didn't get the job because of that person. I didn't get into college because of that person. My grades are irrelevant. My qualifications are irrelevant. It's that person's job, and it makes you feel good. I don't get political, but you look at, I won't say, but one of the parties, because I don't want to get into it, one of the political parties in this country, their whole platform is based on fear. Their whole platform is based on fearing those guys because they're different, or those women because they're different, or those people because they want the same rights I have. How dare they? Fear is crazy, okay? But fear makes you feel good. Fear makes you think that, yeah, I'm not bad. I'm not a bad person. That person's bad. It's not me. It's them. That's what fear does to you, okay? You can't let fear take over like that. You can't let fear run your life like that. Okay? You can't, because it will come back and haunt you, and it will make you do things that are dumb, stupid, and crazy, and not in your best interest at all. That's what fear does. Okay? So fear is one of those things. You feel like giving up. Yep, that's pretty much it. But the thing about giving up, if you give up, nobody else is going to do it. Nobody else is going to get out there and keep going. Nobody else is going to feed your family or try to feed your family. Nobody else is going to try to bounce back from this. So you cannot give up. I know you want to, and I know you have those moments. You'll have your pity parties. And as I always say, don't turn them into Mardi Gras, but you'll have your pity parties. You'll have your times when you think, when you're in a crowd and you look around and one of the things, and this was in my notes, one of the things that really hurts you when you've been unemployed a long time is that you see people spending money willy and nilly, okay? You see people, and the things that don't bother you when you're working, they bother the heck out of you when you're not working. Black Friday, when you see all the news shows report on Black Friday sales and how all these people on Black Friday were out there mobbing Walmart, running people over and all this kind of crazy just to spend some money. When you, maybe you go to a baseball game or any kind of professional sporting event, and you're sitting there. Maybe you got tickets free. Somebody gave you tickets, to go, so that's why the only reason you're going. And you don't have enough money to buy anything to eat, so you just say, I'm just going to chill and, watch the game. And the people around you are just throwing away $12 for a hot dog. And you're like, really? Really? Is it that good a hot dog? So many things, those little things, that discretionary spending that people do, it burns you up. only way I can put it, it really burns you up. And it's not that they're doing anything different. It's just that you're in a different perspective. You have a different perspective. Like I was saying, what I'm thankful for, I've had people complain to me recently, oh, your car is dirty, and I'm thinking, and I've told somebody, I just spent $400 on this car to get a sensor put in so it would pass emissions so I can keep driving it. The dusty car is not my main concern. My perspective has changed. But that's what that giving up is. If you cannot give up, because if you don't do it, nobody else will. And it's better to die on your feet than live on your knees. And dying on your feet means you will keep going until you can't go any further, until you can't go any longer. That's what life is about. Keep going until you can't go any further. All right. Those shows all over the place. The last point I want to talk about is depression. Now, I'm not a clinical psychiatrist, psychologist, or any type of therapist, so I'm not going to get into the clinical definitions and things like that. I've known people that have been clinically depressed. I've known people that have that temporary, I'm just depressed today because, my boyfriend broke up with me or whatever. And they are, they're the same, but they're different. But depression is real, and a karate student of mine committed suicide because he couldn't find a job. It was one of the things on my list that probably pushed him over the edge. But he committed suicide. He decided he was going to end it all. He gave up. And I say that because he left a wife and kids, and he committed to suicide in such a way that when his family found him, it's pretty bad. Depression is real. You are not the only one feeling that depression. Find a job networking group, a meeting to go to. Find there are other people that are unemployed. Find them. Go to a local networking group. If you don't have a local one, start one. Okay, get some people there. And you trust me, there's still a lot of unemployed people. So wherever you are, chances are you are not the only person in that state who's unemployed. So get with some other people. And, some people might say that I'm saying, well, misery loves company. Yeah, it does love company, but that's not the reason I say try to get with somebody. Get with somebody who can identify with you so you can try to help each other get out of it. Because, you probably don't have the money to go to a psychiatrist or psychologist or any kind of therapist to talk about why you're depressed. But if you can, by all means, go. But the depression, the depression is a result of self-confidence, fear. You're mad, you're giving up, and it hits you in depression. Okay, so that's where that all comes from. Thank you for listening this week. The show is probably a little crazy. I said the video is going to be a little different this week, just because I couldn't find my regular multi-million-dollar studio piece of equipment. But we'll rectify that soon. But anyway, as always, thanks for listening. If you're listening live on the website, feel free to subscribe in iTunes. And if you like the show, please leave feedback so other people can find the show, and I truly appreciate it. If you have a suggestion for a topic, either the podcast or a 1-minute bunny tip, send it to me at Tyrone@bunnyslippersevil.com. And then when you land, please don't forget us. Please visit our cafe store and buy a T-shirt, a water bottle, a coffee mug, a clock, or a sweatshirt. It'll help support the show, and it'll give you a memento of your time in transition, because I don't want you to forget this time, because the moment you do, you set yourself up to be in transition again. I don't make a lot of money off of that cafe press store stuff. It's not for me. But buy something so you just have something to hold on to look at. But with that, thank you as always for listening. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your feedback and all those good, great things. We'll be here next week. I wish you all peace, health, and happiness. Best of luck in your job search, and we'll talk again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.